The book is set in the 1940s.
40s and 50s, yeah.
Was that part of the organic process? All of a sudden, you kind of realized it, or was that kind of where you were going?
I realized as I was writing where the book was in fact set in that time period, and I realized that I was responding to these stories that I'd heard growing up. Because my mother grew up in South Philadelphia, and during that time period, and she would always talk about this neighborhood. You know, they called it affectionately downtown. And downtown, well, in downtown, I mean, we always heard about downtown when we would complain about, a little housework. You all don't know from housework. Downtown, we got out every day. I scrubbed my mother's steps, and with Jerfrey water, whatever they call Clorox, and that she scrubbed the steps, and then everyone got out and scrubbed the steps. And the way she described it, it wasn't just a matter of cleaning the steps. It was also this like sense of community where people were out, cleaning and taking care. And this neighborhood was just real. She talked about how safe it was, that when it was real hot, of course, without air conditioning, that people could sleep outside. People could sleep outside on the steps or on the, pavement, and no one bothered you. That when it was real hot, a lot of people did that. And so it was safe and it was clean, and the music, just the jazz. Philadelphia was like a mecca and attracted all of the jazz artists, and was moving like into bebop, and so she talked about that. My father was a caterer early on, and they had done a party for Dinah Washington, and so I mean the music was just prominent, and her church also was very prominent. So she talked about this neighborhood, this safe, clean, uh, vibrant, spiritual neighborhood that I guess was inside of me when I started writing. And so the things that she talked about fell onto the page. I mean, if something would happen to a child in West Philly, and she said, "Oh, that would have never happened downtown," and she'd always tell me, "Well, why'd you move then if downtown was so great? Why do we live in West Philly?" Because my parents moved to West Philadelphia when I was very young, and she said, "Well, they were going to build a road. That's why we moved." And this whole notion of the road, that hung over the specter of that part of the city for years, this crosstown highway, which would have barreled through and really disrupted that neighborhood, that never really happened in that actual area. So I wondered. I mean, I just exploited that as part of the plot. What if in fact there was never going to be a road? What if this was just a way to get rid of this like thriving community? To say we're going to build an expressway, and it makes it a lot easier for people to get out, and then makes it easier for the place to be, to totally change over and become $1 million townhouses. Because it was very close to the waterfront, so it was good property, good land as it were. Um, so I exploited that in the novel. What if, in fact, that was going on as much as anything else? Um, and then Tumbling became really Tumbling once I hit on that. And again, it didn't happen all at once. It's just the writing and the thinking about it, and the writing and the thinking about it, the organic process, and just the symbiotic relationship that happens with the author and the characters feeding off of one another. That it came to that point. Um, but yeah, it was very much based on the stories that my mother told about her upbringing, and in this, and of course, looking back, it's easy to romanticize. I'm sure I do that with my children. We were growing up, and it's this was also a time of forced segregation, and that these folks lived in this neighborhood because often they didn't have other options of other places where they in fact could live. But also as a result of that, there were like a lot of different income levels, and a lot of different talents and occupations going on in this neighborhood. And so it wasn't, I don't know necessarily people were judged by how much money they had or what they did. It was more, that they were a part of this community. And what they contributed to that, I think, was as important as how much money somebody had. So, I mean, the forced segregation part, horrible. but I think that they made the best of it,
Mm-hmm.
and as a result, produced like tremendous people who came from that in fact that time and place.
And now Live On and Tumbling is fictionalized characters.
Yeah, yeah.